So, my young students, you thought you could escape propositional logic. You will find that you are mistaken about that and a great many things. Hi everyone, Professor Dan here with our new installment in logic videos, which Professor Dan does totally scripted and with professional studio quality work. Today, we're going to start looking at propositional logic. This is the sort of logic that we would spend the whole semester doing if we were doing a symbolic logic course, like the course that you can take when you go to the University of Maryland at College Park, having switched to philosophy majors from whatever majors you were because you just can't get enough logic and philosophy, and also because you wanted to make your parents sad. Propositional logic lets us take English, which is a terrible, messy language full of terrible, messy words with silly meanings, and turn that language into nice, precise symbols for our manipulation. So consider, if you will, our favorite subject, cats. Let's say I wanted to write the sentence, cats are stupid. If I was doing categorical logic, I would have to say all cats are stupid things, which I would then symbolize as all C R T. That's not bad, but we can do better. We can say cats are stupid. Well, that's one proposition, and I'll just represent that proposition with the letter C. What? That's right. We can just represent propositions with the letter C. Now, you may be wondering, well, Professor Dan, if we could have just been doing this all this time, why haven't we just been doing that all along, and why did you make us learn categorical logic? Well, you learn categorical logic because it builds character. And also it will be important later on when you get to predicate logic, which you can get to when you take symbolic logic at the University of Maryland at College Park, or wherever you go for the furtherance of your philosophical career. So today, we're going to look at basic symbolization. How do we take messy English sentences and turn them into nice propositional propositions, take that, with the right kinds of operators. There are 5 operators that we're going to use. The negation, which we represent with this squiggly line, also called a tilde. A conjunction, which we represent with a dot. A disjunction, which we represent with this little v. A conditional, which we represent with a horseshoe. And a biconditional, which is these 3 lines right here. Let's go through each one in turn. Consider the following sentence. The boy is not a cat. All right? Here, I'm making one claim. And I'm saying whatever that thing is, it's the opposite or the negation of that. And so I can say not B, or if I want, I could say not C. That's all I have to do. Whatever this thing is not, it's not that thing. The negation, this symbol right here, is the only operator that works on a single letter or phrase. Every other operator needs two propositions to work. So let's look at the rest of those. Consider the following more complicated proposition. John is a cat, and John is stupid. Here I'm saying two things. I'm saying that John is something, but I'm also saying that John is something else. So I'm going to need two letters. Let's say a C and a T, just like I used to use with my categorical symbolization. But now I need something to connect these two things. And what connects those two things, and I'll use some different colors here for those of you who are visual learners, is the conjunction, the dot. The dot goes in between the two letters, okay? It does not go over here, right? If I had something like this, that would be wrong. Whenever I have a complex proposition, I need my operator to go in between the parts of the proposition. The same would apply if I said John is a cat or John is stupid. Now I'm using a disjunction. I'm saying something is either this or that, which means my wedge or my little B goes in between these two letters. What's that? You want it to be more complicated? Okay. What if I wanted to say the following? If John is a cat, then John is stupid. Now I have something that's even more complicated still, or at least it's more complicated as we're trying to symbolize these propositions. I still have my J, I still have, or my C, I still have my T. Now I have this horseshoe. But there's an important thing that we have to keep in mind about the horseshoe, which is different from the last two operators we looked at. If I have these things right here, C and T, and now I have T and C. If I have C or T and T or C, there's nothing different about these things. They both mean the same. But the order of a conditional is important. The part that goes to the left of the horseshoe, this part right here, we call this part the antecedent. And the part that goes with the then is called the consequent. And you have to get those in the right order or you can really mess things up. The part that goes with the if is the antecedent. The part that goes with the then is the consequent, no matter where the if or then are located. If I said, John is stupid if he is a cat, then it's still this set. Last but not least, I can say, oops, John is stupid if and only if he is a cat. And this is what we call the biconditional. And here is where we use our triple bar. See if and only if T. And these we can also switch around. Now, I know you're thinking to yourself, well, that's not so very hard. I really wish Professor Dan could make it more difficult. Don't worry. If there's one thing Professor Dan likes to do, it's make your wishes come true when it's to his amusement to do so. So, what if I have something really complicated? Complicated, easy for me to say. It is not the case that either John is a cat and stupid, or if he is not a dog, then he is a unicorn. Now, I can take this whole lovely sentence and I can symbolize it. I can turn it into nice letters that later on I will be able to manipulate in all kinds of fun ways. So let's start out by trying to figure out where my basic propositions are. So we know John is a cat is one. We know stupid is another. Dog seems to be one. And so does unicorn. So now I have four basic propositions or four basic letters. And in a big complicated proposition, I might use these letters more than once. And you'll get to have that fun going through different exercises. So, I got my basic letters, but now I have to start filling the operators in. John is a cat and stupid. Well, I think we thought that that was the conjunction. So let me put that in. We say not a dog, so now we got to put a negation in front of the dog, but that's also part of an if-then, and so we're going to put our conditional in between the D and the U. But whenever I have more than two letters and or more than two operators, I have to group them so I know what comes first and what comes second. I need to use parentheses and brackets to do that. So I'm going to look, where should I put my parentheses? Well, whenever I have two letters and or more than two operators, I need some parentheses. Certainly, there's going to be some parentheses. Let's make blue the color of parentheses. On this side of the U, there's going to be a parentheses. But where do I put the other one? Between the negation and the D, or on the other side of the negation? Well, since the negation negates only dog, I'm going to put the other parenthesis here. This is very important. If I put the parenthesis in the wrong place, then the negation works on something different, as we'll see in a minute. I also know that I got John here and stupid, So I'll go ahead and put a parentheses around that. But I can't just have two sets of parentheses sitting next to each other like this. I need something to connect them. And what connects them is this either or. One side of this is this conjunction. The other side of this is this conditional. And so I'm going to put a wedge in between these parentheses. But wait, there's one more thing. Right over here, it is not the case that this it is not the case. It negates the whole entire thing. So now I need something else to indicate that all of this is going to be negated. So I'm going to use brackets, which I will put in red. And now this negation will go outside those brackets. So by putting this negation outside of these brackets, now this negates this whole complex proposition. Now in the next video that we do, we're going to explain how to go about solving these sorts of things once we know the truth values. So stay tuned for that next video coming soon.